Welcome into the Pro Football Radio Podcast, episode 11. And this is your host, Cheema, with the pride and joy of Merrimack, New Hampshire, Da Puma.
Thank you. That was a great intro up until you did like that half-assed meow.
Well, how would you do it?
I mean, I can't really meow.
Well,
I had a cat, I guess you could say, from my roommate and his now wife, and that cat was possessed.
Was this a devil cat?
The Satan, the spawn of Satan.
Interesting.
Convenient enough, the cat's name was Sadie, but I just called it Satan.
Why was it Satan?
I mean, just anything.
Yeah.
Like, it would look like it want to be cute and cuddly, and you'd be like, oh, you actually, like, kind of want some attention. And when, like, you try to go and show it attention, it just starts hissing at you, and it claws at you, and just all this nonsense. Yeah. It's like, I don't need that in my life.
I get that. My ex-roommate, a person we both know, Ian, right? His girl used to live with us for a while, and she had a cat. I think the cat was towards the end of its life, and obviously it was put down eventually, but before it was put down, dude, it just would like diarrhea and throw up everywhere, like everywhere. And I was trying my best not to like be insensitive about it, but there was days where I would want to punt that cat off the back patio.
There was a time, I'll never forget this, where Sadie, the cat, one day was like, it looked at me and just started hissing, and like, no shit. Like I said, what the bleep is your problem? Like, and it stopped. Like, it looked at me and it did like this like little half-ass, like, oh, I'm so sorry, human, and just like toddled off to the other end of the room. I
find it funny you didn't get along with this cat. You are Da Puma yourself. Well, a cat. You're like the mother of the cats. Dude. So like, I feel like you can just hiss at it back and it'd be like, yo, mama's not happy.
No, what do you mean mama? What do you mean mama cat? No.
What are you gonna be, a dad cat?
Yeah.
Nah, you're more.
Come on, no. Haven't you seen Calvin and Hobbes? Calvin and Hobbes, the cat's a guy.
I have not.
Tigger is a guy.
I have not seen Calvin and Hobbes.
Whatever. Anyways.
Before we get to all that, let me run a quick nickname by you.
Oh, okay.
So your nickname is one of the best of all time, Da Puma. It's up there with just all the best nicknames of all time. I was watching a Western last night.
You watched a Western?
I watched a Western. Right? It was about Texas Rangers taking down Bonnie and Clyde. Mm-hmm. Right? And one of the Texas Rangers was named Pancho. What do you think about Pancho for my name?
But you're not Latino.
I could be.
No.
I like burritos.
I mean, I like burritos too. But like, I'm not going to call myself Pancho.
J. Pancho Cheema. Or just Pancho. Pancho and Da Puma.
No. Why not? It does have a nice ring to it.
Doesn't it? Pancho and Da Puma.
I mean, but it's like 2019. Like, Gwen Stefani's getting raked over the coals for how she dressed in the 90s, and people were saying it was cultural appropriation. Imagine what...
Well, first of all, I mean, I can pass as Latino, right? I mean, I have the skin tone for it, right?
Oh, my God. Yes, Jay. Yes.
I'm just saying, I think Pancho's a great nickname, Puma.
Oh my God.
Just try it. Just try it one time. Like, Pancho, ask me a question.
Pancho and Da Puma!
Dude, that had a good ring to it.
It did. It did have a good ring to it. It's going to sound great because I used the echo on that one too. Yeah. But can we just talk about how it was opening day for baseball this week? It was great, man. It's a sign that spring and summer are right around the corner. It was a great opening day. There was only like one game that was delayed. But I do have one problem with Major League Baseball.
I have lots of problems with Major League Baseball.
Well, we can get to your laundry list of problems. But my problem is historically, the Cincinnati Reds have always had the first pitch of the league year. They've always been like the first game. I think they start at noon or 12:30. The city of Cincinnati shuts down. They do a parade, and the parade ends, and they do the first pitch, and the baseball game's there. And they didn't do that the last 3 years. Like, I'm kind of a traditionalist in a sense, and I wanted to see the Cincinnati Reds first. I had to wait till 1 o'clock.
One of my really good friends, Sarah Marie from Columbus, Ohio, really big Reds fan. I assume she's probably not happy about that.
Nope.
I can't speak to it because I really have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, but... That's just me.
You should.
I don't know much about baseball, and I don't even pretend to care about it.
Now, the other thing I got to get off my chest, I got to defend the show and the fans a little bit, is you said a line last week.
I said one thing, and everybody blew their minds.
So, for those of you that didn't catch on, last week, Pancho, a.k.a. Cheema,
there it is. Pancho
that he...
Wait a minute. Let me do it real quick. Hold on a second. Pancho and Da Puma.
Paunch over here didn't see Forrest Gump. And let me tell you, a lot of people heard that line and blew up Facebook.
Why? I don't understand why.
They blew up Facebook. They blew up my phone. I was
get
getting calls. My own family called and said, what do you mean your co-host has not seen Forrest Gump?
Dude, well, listen. First of all, the movie came out in 1994.
Yeah, I watched it in 1994.
I was 3 years old at that point, okay? So I'm just saying, like, we had this conversation a few weeks ago. You grew up in a very progressive household, like you grew up in a very conservative household. We didn't really, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really get into, pop culture and movies and music until 2000. So anything before that, I don't care about. I mean, I'm not going to go back and watch it now.
Why not? It's a classic. Dude, you have cable, right?
Yeah, I do have cable.
It's on demand. It's on, like, AMC and Paramount and TBS at least once a week.
I got that, and I took the backlash, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it is me. You know what, Cheema? Maybe it's you. Maybe you should give it a try. So with that being said, I went to YouTube, typed in a clip of Forrest Gump, and a clip came up where apparently he runs and his braces come off. And the gist of this clip is some kids are bullying this kid. I assume it's Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah.
They're throwing rocks at him, and one hits him in his head. He starts bleeding, and then the chick, Jenny, right?
Yep.
Jenny was like, "Run," right? Now this kid had braces on, complete braces from his hips down to his ankles, and he couldn't run. But apparently, with just, I guess, the fear factor with the kids throwing the rocks at him, he started running like he was Flash all of a sudden. Like 1 minute he was hobbling, the next minute he was running like Flash. Like, I don't understand how you can make the transition from being handicapped to being the Flash. Like, that shit doesn't happen.
Well, he wasn't
At the end of the day,
handicapped per se.
even superhero movies are not that far-fetched, right?
This is light years better than Batman vs. Superman. That is trash.
You shut your
I
face.
have to shut my face?
You're
the one. Hey, you're the one throwing Forrest Gump headfirst into the bus. That movie's in the Library of Congress. There is so much you take away from the movie.
I call it Forrest Dump.
No, Dump is, Batman versus Superman. Also, what I just did in the bathroom a few minutes ago. But what I'm saying is, dude, you have to actually watch the movie. Just watch the movie one time. Just one time. You know what? After the show, we'll watch the movie. Just the whole thing. There's so much more than just like him having the fight or flight thing and breaking his braces on his legs and running away.
Explain to me how, in the context of that movie, a handicapped kid goes to being Usain Bolt. How does that happen?
Well, he had the braces on because of his back. It wasn't because his legs were out of sorts.
I mean, he needed him to walk around. He had issues walking apparently, but then all of a sudden, just because fight or flight and somebody throws a fucking rock at him, he becomes Usain Bolt. How does that happen?
Well, if someone is chasing after you, a thing called adrenaline kicks in, and it's fight or flight.
Oh my God.
And he decided to fight by running like Usain Bolt, and it led to him getting a scholarship at the University of Alabama and being an All-American.
It wasn't the Ohio State University.
Well, he's in Alabama, Jay.
I don't care, all right?
He's in Alabama.
I don't care.
You make no sense.
I make
You want me to
sense.
watch a movie on Netflix, but you haven't seen Forrest Gump yet. I can't take any movie suggestions from you until you actually watch classics.
The only way I will watch Forrest Gump is if you do something in return that I want you to do.
Like what?
I want you to eat some sushi tonight.
Sushi?
Yeah.
How can you compare Forrest Gump to sushi?
Same thing. Sushi's great. You hate it. So
I don't hate it. I just want my food cooked.
Okay, well, I want my movies good.
The movie won Academy Awards, and I think Tom Hanks won Best Actor in that movie. That movie took home a lot of gold. Just saying.
I'm just saying, if you eat some sushi tonight, I will happily watch Forrest Gump.
You're trash.
Oh, that's all you got?
Trash.
That's all you got? You're trash? That's
I'm
all
just
you
saying.
got.
You want me like you list off all these like insane movies. Like I gotta watch the Highwaymen. You haven't seen Forrest Gump. I suffered through Batman vs. Superman.
That was a good time.
And the best part of that movie was when Batman is beating the shit out of Superman and says, "Martha, why'd you say her name? Why'd you say her name?" And then here's Lois Lane. That's his mother's name. That's his mother's name. You have any idea how many times I rewatched that part? That was the only good part of that movie.
That was a great movie.
That was a trash. Trash.
Speaking of comic movies, Avengers Endgame is coming out in 1 month.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere that the runtime for that movie is 3 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah.
3 hours and 2 minutes. Now I'm a comic book fan. I get it, man. I love comic book movies, man. I don't pretend to be a nerd. I'm not a nerd at all. But when it comes to comic book movies, bro, nerd me up, you know. Mm-hmm. But 3 hours and 2 minutes, that's a lot.
It's not a lot.
That's a lot.
I saw a bit. One of my friends sent this to me, Josh. He sent me this bit of a African American guy talking about the runtime in Endgame, being like, "Yo, I had practice. Like, have you ever been to an evangelical like church ceremony? That's like 3 hours of church right there. I've had training my whole life for this. Like that part is hilarious. Like, just Google that. It's a great bit. Josh, you're the man for sending me that clip.
Yeah.
I guess we should get to football now, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. The biggest news of the week was my boy, Robert Gronkowski, has retired from the National Football League.
Yep.
He had a somewhat stellar career, but at the end, a lot of injuries hampered that career. He was on track to be one of the best of all time, but in my personal opinion, because of those injuries, he probably is not.
Yep.
And we'll get to those details in a second. But when I saw that, man, I was like, damn, that's a big loss for us. For us being a Patriots fan, that was a really big loss for us. And one of the biggest reasons why I think it's so big of a loss is because he's hard to replace. Mm-hmm. He's essentially 2 tight ends in one body. He's a guy that can open up holes for your running game with blocking schemes, but he can also go down the field. When he was healthy and in his prime, he can also go down the field and make 70-yard plays. So what's your thoughts on that whole thing?
I mean, I'm kind of in lockstep with you. I mean, it's almost like the ultimate what if. What if his health was just a little bit more solid? Mm-hmm. Like, he played for 9 years. If he was just a little bit more, I guess, healthy, he probably would have had a longer career. I mean, he's going to go down as probably one of, definitely in the top 5 of greatest tight ends of all time. And like you said, I mean, he opened up so much for the run game. I mean, when he wasn't putting up numbers, he wasn't putting up numbers at all like he normally does. But he was doing things on the field that you're not going to see in the box score, like opening up runs for Sony Michel and Burkhead and all those guys.
Exactly. And I've watched enough Patriots football to know, even towards the end when he couldn't run down the field, he was still putting pressure on the middle of the defense. He was still, as I guess, a decoy. He was still running down the field, putting, pressure on the middle of the defense where the outsides was freed up. The reason why the out routes by Chris Hogan and the out routes by Julian Edelman were so effective was because he was just game planned around by opposing teams at all fronts.
Mm-hmm. No, you definitely have to keep account of him. I mean, like you said, he was the ultimate decoy, and man, and it wasn't like he had like these little rinky-dink injuries. I mean, Earl Thomas pretty much almost punctured a lung of his. He broke his arm at one point. Or did he break it once or twice?
I think twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
I don't know. He looked like, he looked like Barry Bonds with like the Kevlar like arm piece. And he was moving like a shell of himself. But bad. I will say, as a fan of football, he did come up in key moments for the Patriots. Like in the Super Bowl, he was only a few inches away from just getting the touchdown himself.
That would have been a great way to go out.
That would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. As a fan of football, I could step back and say that would have been great if he got that last touchdown. But I mean, he got them right first and goal, and then in the Chiefs game, he set them up for that game-winning run too. And I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greats, for sure.
He will be a bigger loss to us than Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman when he was injured. This guy could do it all. Those were wide receivers. This was somebody that you built your offense around at some certain weeks. Some defenses had to game plan for him in whole. So I think this is going to be one of the biggest deficiencies going into next year.
No doubt. Their depth chart at ball catchers is just... It's super thin. It's like it's so Edelman and then it's like 3 question marks. I can't even name anybody else on that depth chart. And then they lost the Dwayne Allen. He went down to South Beach. Not like he was being used much, but
I've always said it's okay. We don't need Odell Beckham. We don't need Antonio Brown. We have Brady. We're totally fine. But in that, somebody should also say that. Yeah, we have Brady, but he also has Gronk as well. This is going to be massive going forward. Unless Belichick drafts 2 tight ends or one massively amazing tight end in the draft, this is going to be something that's going to hamper us next year. I am genuinely worried about next year's offense because of Gronk leaving.
Right.
That's
now,
a big of a concern it is for me.
Now, before we get to like how you could replace him, like where do you have him in like the greats of all time?
I have him at number 2. I have him after Tony Gonzalez, and I'm not going to be a homer here because I always say Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. Other NFL players that I knock against that can't stay healthy. I will say fully that Gronk couldn't stay healthy either. And part of your allure or your greatness is your availability in the NFL. If you're not available, then what good are you, right? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I think he's probably second after Tony Gonzalez, only because Tony Gonzalez was there week in and week out, right?
Yep.
In regards to pure talent, I think he's the best tight end of all time. Just pure talent when he's healthy. When you have him for that little margin of his health is good, he's young, his speed is good, he is the best of all time in that just vacuum. But again, everything is not in a vacuum.
Right.
We should take everything into consideration. All I'll say is I have not seen a more dominant NFL player than Gronk in my lifetime.
Right.
Just like Shaq was back in those days where he was dominant, Gronk is just as dominant when he is healthy and he has his speed. You can't block him with one person. You can't scheme with just one person. You have to put a whole team around him to kind of scheme and stop Gronk.
Right. No, we actually agree. I mean, I have Gonzalez at 1. I was torn between having Gronk at 2 and Winslow Sr. at 2, just because Kellen Winslow Sr. was what Gronk is today at the time. But, I mean, I didn't grow up seeing Kellen Winslow. I had to literally go on YouTube and find highlights of him. So I have Gronk at 2, Winslow Sr. at 3, Antonio Gates at 4.
Really? That high up? Huh?
Yep. I mean, he leads all tight ends with touchdown receptions, and I think he's definitely like top 10 touchdown receptions of all time when you factor in other wide receivers too. And then Shannon Sharp brings up the rear at number 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have Gronk right up there. And if, say, he was healthy more, and maybe if I don't really care about how many Super Bowls you win, but like if you're on the field and you're able to produce more and put the stats up, I think he would have been able to surpass Tony Gonzalez.
Absolutely.
Tony Gonzalez had a lot of shit teams too.
Of course.
So,
Tony Gonzalez was on a Chiefs team with Trent Green,
Damon Heward, Brody Croyle, and then he had like a question mark guy at the Chiefs, and then he had like 2 years of Matt Ryan. Imagine if you had Matt Ryan his whole career.
Yeah. Imagine if you put Tony Gonzalez with Tom Brady for all those years. He could. I mean, just those numbers would be astronomical. But Tony Gonzalez didn't have that blocking scheme, that blocking skill set that Gronk has. I remember watching a highlight where Gronk completely took Terrell Suggs out. You remember that play, right? Yep. You've seen that play. Gronk just levels Terrell Suggs.
And Suggs got some weight on him too.
And like Suggs has some massive weight on him. And I always bring up Suggs because he is the prototypical, in my personal opinion, with him and Aaron Donald, just the amount of weight / speed / just physique in general.
And this wasn't Terrell Suggs like towards the back end of his career.
This is like 3 years ago. It's like 4 years ago when I think it was the divisional playoff game.
Yep.
Whatever it was, I just remember that highlight where Gronk comes off, just jams Suggs as hard as possible, and Suggs just flat out on the ground.
Right. Was that the play where Gronk said he, air quote, threw him out the club?
No, that was also my favorite Gronk moment of all time.
Was that against the Colts?
That was against the Colts.
Okay.
The Patriots go into Indianapolis after the whole Deflategate thing.
Right.
We want revenge and all this other bullshit, right? He takes the guy, and it's a running play. We actually score a touchdown on the play, but he opens up a hole so big that the running back just walks in, and then he proceeds to take this guy 15 yards from where the actual initial block was.
Because it was like in the middle of like the hash marks.
Yeah, exactly. From where the initial block was to the point where he let go, he just dragged him 15 yards and threw him down and threw him out of the club. And then the dance afterwards, the dance on the sidelines. I mean, I'm going to miss Gronk. Truthfully, at the end of the day, Gronk was...
Football as a whole, anyone that's a fan of the game is going to miss Gronk. Like, I mean... Tara can attest to this. Every time he was on TV with a Tide Pod commercial, I would say, man, I wish if anybody was to ever eat a Tide Pod, Gronk is the guy to do it. But at the end of the day, you have to step back and appreciate that you're never going to get a personality as big as Gronk in the game again. Sure. So now
But before we get to that, my second favorite moment of Gronk was when he said, "Yo soy fiesta."
Yep. That literally was like a top one moment. It's either one or two on NFL Network the other day.
Soy fiesta. I am party is what he said.
He is. He is. The league.
He is.
The league is going to miss him for sure. I mean, I always said he was the missing link, but
with that personality, and we talked about this off air, I think he'd be a great fit in the booth replacing what's his name? Witten, right? Jason Witten. And Monday Night Football coverage. Could you imagine him with his excitement and just his dumbness in general, right?
Gronk catch, Gronk score.
Right. Could you imagine if like Tessitore is just like being so analytical and just like giving you information, and a massive touchdown happens and Gronk just chimes in, "Bro, touchdown! Bro, you see that touchdown?" Could you imagine that coming through your TV?
I mean, ratings would go up.
I would love it,
for sure. Yeah. I mean, dude, anything is better than Booger McFarland.
Dude, you really hate Booger McFarland, don't you?
It's just like, it's too much. Like, everyone was railing against Witten, and nobody would say a whole lot about Booger. And it's just like the Booger mobile was too much. I couldn't do it with him. Like, I'll give it one. Maybe it was just like the opening introductions. Like, maybe I need to see more of McFarland on Monday Night Football. Mm-hmm. I'll give it a shot. But, I mean, he's down in points right now with me, bro. Like, there are times when he talks and I want to mute him. Yeah. But back to, I guess, how do you replace Gronk? How do you replace him?
2 tight ends.
Okay.
There is not one single person in this draft that can replace Gronk. When Aaron Hernandez went away with his murder thing, right? Mm-hmm. We all forgot about that, right?
Right.
Did you realize Aaron Hernandez is no more alive?
I mean, I knew he wasn't alive.
I forgot about it. I totally forgot about it until I was doing research for it. I was like, wait a minute.
You forgot Hernandez was dead?
Hernandez goes sleepy.
Christ,
yeah, I totally forgot. It slipped my mind. Regardless, when Hernandez left, Belichick did not replace him because Gronk filled in immediately with that,
right,
with both roles. You know what I'm saying? Originally, when Belichick drafted both Hernandez and Gronk, the plan was Gronk is going to be our blocking tight end, and Hernandez is going to be the guy you split out wide and run down the field, right? But when Hernandez went away, Belichick was like, we got a tight end that can do both. Why not? Let's just leave it as is. He's already great, so whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right. The only issue I see with that is they're so low in the draft. Like, there's a lot. There's like 2 tight ends out of Iowa that are first-round talents.
I want Noah Fant. I think he's great out of Iowa.
Who?
Noah Fant.
Yep. That's one of the guys. I mean, in free agency, super thin now that Jared Cook signed. I mean, there's, I guess you could say, Austin Seferian-Jenkins is like the top free agent guy. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he was banged up last year. He had a good year 2 years ago with the Jets, but he was just hurt a lot. And then there's one guy I saw tape of the other day out of Ole Miss, and his name, if I could friggin' find it here, is Dawson Knox.
Dawson what?
Dawson Knox. Knox. The Ole Miss. I don't let the record at Ole Miss, speak for him, because that was a really bad Ole Miss team. But, I mean, there's a lot of talent on that roster. And, I mean, he's a big-body tight end. He's got good hands. He's good at route running. The only knock is he's not that great at pass protection.
Sure.
His run blocking is decent. I think there's a lot of work to do. But he could – I mean, if he falls to 32 – because I think the 2 tight ends out of Iowa are probably going to go off the board before they even get to New England – Knox is right there. Sure. Why not take a flyer on him? Like, you're 32nd. That's pretty much the beginning of the second round. Why not? Yeah. I don't see a problem with that.
I get it. All in all, man, it's sad to see him go, man. I truly enjoyed watching him over the years. One of the greatest of all time to do it. If injuries weren't an issue, he'd be the greatest of all time. I genuinely have some serious concerns going forward. I really do have concerns of the Patriots offense. Every single year, I'd be like, it doesn't matter. We got Brady. We're totally fine. Because I knew Gronk was back there as well.
Right.
He might be hurt. But I knew at some point he'll come back and he'll help us.
Right.
I am genuinely concerned about this offseason coming up, man. This next season for the Patriots.
Well, like, the thing, this isn't like a slight. It's just a fact that, like, the AFC East is so weak. Mm-hmm. Like, it really doesn't matter.
The Jets are making moves now.
Right. They did make moves. But before we end this segment,
Fitzmagic is in Miami.
Yeah, he's going to be great for 3 games, and then it's going to be, the pick machine that he is. But before we end this segment, are you buying Drew Rosenhaus saying that he might come back this year?
I could, because he's so young. He's 29 when he's retiring right now. He takes a year off, just heals his body. Part of me thinks this is just
taking a full year off, or he'll come back by like week 4 or 5.
Part of me thinks this is a ploy to get out of training camp, right?
But Rosenhaus was saying that he kind of had a deal in place where he wouldn't have to do training camp.
I don't know what the back end working is, but I think listen, he's good for 5 to 6 games a year.
Right.
Comes back towards the end of the year and he's making a playoff run with us. That's awesome. But you can't go into a year with just sitting for 8 weeks and then playing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It just doesn't work out. So I think I can see that because he's so young. Give him some time off. Give him some time to get his body right. I can see him coming back and making a run with us.
Okay.
But then again,
the Roger Clemens of the NFL.
Right.
I could see him coming back if his plans at acting, or I mean, he could be a stand-up comic for all I care.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I mean, he'd be great.
Yeah.
He would sell out just on his name alone, and I think he's got enough content to actually have a couple of decent shows. But if those plans at acting or whatever, the WWE, there's been rumors for eons now. If those don't work out, I could see him coming back by week 4 or 5.
Yeah. Well, the WWE part of it, man, like those guys take a beating as well.
No
Have
shit.
you seen an old wrestler walking around?
I never thought I'd be defending Gronk. But here I am, like this is going to be the hill I'm going to die on. I don't want him taking bumps off the top rope.
I don't either. I don't need to see him in a Hell in a Cell match. You know what I'm saying? Could you imagine?
No, I don't want. I mean, he's probably going to come out like they were already like a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. I think they were in Boston. They were calling out Gronkowski after he retired. So we all know that at some point Gronk is going to show up at a pay-per-view event. Probably WrestleMania. He'll make an appearance. He'll do a spear, and then he'll get off the stage, and someone will win the WWE title. But if that's the extent of it, I'm fine with it. I don't want to see Gronk taking bumps. I don't want him going off the top rope.
But I do want to see Vince McMahon say Gronk's name in his deep growl he does.
Next up, Gronkowski.
Right, exactly. His deep growl voice is amazing.
If I ever get fired, I want Vince to fire me.
You're fired.
J. Pancho Cheema, you're fired.
Wait. J. Pancho Cheema, you're fired.
Oh, Christ. Oh, my God.
Vince McMahon, fucking legend, man.
Yep.
He's a national treasure.
He's something. He's like the eighth wonder of the world.
I absolutely love Vince McMahon. Everything about him I love, man.
He's something else. Then the other news item of the week was the NFL rule change.
Big news, man.
So for those of you that live under a rock, the owners and the league approved change the replay. So defensive passing interference and offensive passing interference are now reviewable, including non-calls. Coaches can initiate challenges up to 2 minutes to the end of the half. Otherwise, the normal 2-minute booth review would apply. The coaches' challenge flags remain at 2. And then this rule is valid for only 1 year. League owners and competition committee will review this, this update at the next year's league meetings. What are your thoughts? What do you think? I'm on the fence. I'm not going to lie.
I'm torn. I am torn. I will say I am absolutely torn. Now, the one thing that we have to take into account here is this is a forced move, man. This is absolutely forced. The NFL got embarrassed on a national stage with that non-call. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I am on the fence is because I think we'll hate this move. I think 5 weeks in, we're going to hate this move. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think eventually it's going to slow the game down towards the end of the games, end of the half, end of the games. So I think, obviously, it's not to the extreme of where people are going to say it's like basketball now, where it's going to take
like the last
19
2 minutes
minutes to get through 2 minutes. It's not going to be that bad, but I am genuinely concerned about just throwing the flag to look at some stupid call that wasn't obviously pass interference that coaches will use to their advantage, right?
Right.
The biggest thing that these flags do is they take away momentum. Right? A lot of times you see in the NBA, people go down, dunk on somebody, crowd's going wild, next thing it's a timeout, slow the game down for some random bullshit, right? So that's why I'm torn, because I think it is slowing the game down, and it's definitely a forced issue that they're bringing up here. It's a forced move. So I just don't understand. I don't really get it, you know?
Right. I'm the same way with you. Like, this is a judgment call kind of deal. So if the NFL, I want to see what they do, because you have to put parameters on this. Because any play that you slow down, that's a one-on-one between a cornerback and a wide receiver, 90% of the time is going to look like DPI. It's going to look like defensive passing interference. 9 times out of 10. So if there's parameters in place, like I could kind of buy it, but otherwise, like you said, they had a gun to their head. They had to make a change. I mean, Sean Payton was losing his friggin' mind. Some could say rightfully so. I've made my bones about it, about that issue a while ago. But a lot of people were screaming for blood. Like they wanted to change, and it's under the 1 year mark. If there's parameters in place, I could buy it. If there's no parameters in place, then it's kind of like it's reviewing a judgment call with some other person using their own judgment. Like Richard Sherman said, I know you're not the biggest Sherman fan, but he brought up kind of a valid point, being like, they're going to use this to change outcomes of the game to their benefit, and especially now that the NFL is getting in bed with like DraftKings and FanDuel with like sports betting, and like New Jersey legalizing things now. Like that, there's a lot to that. So I want to see what the league puts in place of what makes you able to override stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, I get that, man. I totally get that. At the end of the day, they were forced to make this move, like I said a few times already, just because they got embarrassed. You cannot have that play ever happen again. That play was one of the biggest black eyes, in my personal opinion, like not I ever seen.
Well, that whole weekend too.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I think the Patriots game and the Chiefs game was officiated properly. I think that was amazing, whatever happened in that game.
Okay. All right, Homer. For those of you that aren't Homers, we all have seen the replay of that Chiefs defensive lineman having Brady dead to rights with a sack, and I think it led to a interception, but it got called back because they called it roughing the passer, and he didn't even hit the collar of his jersey.
Like, he hit his helmet.
He did not hit his friggin' helmet. I'll pull the tape up right now.
Watch it right now.
I'll pull the tape up.
He came down. His hand came down from up top, grazed his face mask, and then came down to his jersey.
Okay.
By the letter of the law, that is roughing the passer when you hit the helmet.
No, that's
the face
nonsense.
mask.
He didn't even hit. The commentators even said he didn't even hit.
We will
them.
look at that play again. He hit I will admit, in a small way. It was not egregious, but he did hit the face mask.
Here's my problem with this new replay rule too: is you didn't open up for roughing the passer or defenseless receiver, because there have been games in the regular season. Case in point, Minnesota, Green Bay with the Vikings in Lambeau, down a couple of points. Kirk Cousins throws a pass. Clay Matthews has him dead to rights, sacks him, and they called that roughing the passer when it clearly wasn't.
That was
not roughing the passer. Even
Clay Matthews, I remember that play.
Riveron came out and said that shouldn't have been called.
I have seen plays where defensive ends will not put their weight on the quarterback. Clay Matthews drove his weight onto Kirk Cousins.
Al Riveron came out on that play.
Who cares what Al Riveron said?
Al Riveron's the head of officiating. You should care.
It was called correctly at that point.
Al Riveron, later on that night, on Sunday, Football Night in America, said that play should not have been flagged.
Listen,
He's the head of officiating.
You can tell when defensive ends put their weight and drive their weight into a quarterback. You can tell.
It's a contact sport, one. And two, I'll keep saying this. Al Riveron has said multiple times, especially Clay Matthews, because Clay, for at least 3 weeks, seems to be the biggest donator in the NFL fine pool, said that should not have been flagged. That clearly churned the game, because the Vikings went on, they got a free play, and then they ended up scoring a touchdown, I think, on Adam Thielen, because I had Thielen on my fantasy team last year. And that changed the outcome of the game. And Rich McKay, when asked about why roughing the passer wasn't part of that, he was quoted saying that, 24 votes. We needed 24 votes to get this replay rule passed. If we added more onto it, we weren't going to get the ruling. So they clearly cut that part out just so they could make Sean Payton and the Saints happy. And if you're going to open the floodgates for judgment calls, open the floodgates for judgment calls.
No, but if you do that, then it becomes the NBA. Every single thing is going to be reviewed. Like
I can see that if you increase the amount of flags, challenge flags that the coaches have. But if you open the floodgates up and you keep the challenge flags at 2, and then the 2-minute rule where it has to go to the booth, that puts more onus on the coach of, do I really feel that I have enough to burn this potential timeout that I'm going to need at the end of the half or at the end of the game? Yeah. So at that point, I'll actually agree with Bill Belichick on this. Open up everything for review.
Okay, I can buy that. I can buy that totally, as long as it's just 2 plays for the whole game. Yeah, that's fine. I'm cool
If
with
you
that.
keep it at 2, open the floodgates up, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this just seems like
that.
peace at any price with a gun to your head.
I think I mentioned that the weekend after this play happened, the Saints and the Rams game. I said to fix this, you open up just 2 challenges. You have 2 challenges for every single play possible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to slow the game down because it's just twice a game like normal now already.
Right.
But now those 2 challenges can be on every single play.
Right.
Now, I can see some coaches using it as some gamesmanship and using it to advantage. That's fine. I'm cool with that. I'm totally cool with
That's part of the game.
It's part of the game. It is what it is. But I think that's a great solution. We should totally go ahead and open it up to all the plays.
Right. I mean, hopefully we'll see. I mean, this is like, I guess, air quote, test mode for a year. We'll see how the league thinks about it next year. But yeah, open everything up. Keep the challenge flags at 2. Keep the replay booth review process the same at 2 minutes, and I think everyone will be a happy camper.
I will say this: the NFL is just the best at giving the fans what they want. Because we sat there and we all lost our fucking minds, right? And literally 6 weeks later, we're all like, oh, you know what? They're doing something about this. Now, we can't agree if it's right or wrong, but they're truly listening to their fans and actually going ahead and making the game better for all of us to view. Some leagues like the NBA and MLB, yeah, they do want to change. I get it. You're going to bring up the MLB's points, but it's not just as quick as the NFL is. But 6 weeks later, they implemented some sort of rule.
Right, but see, like, baseball's different. I'm not going to speak of the NBA because I don't follow it enough. I follow it enough during the playoffs, but I'm a diehard baseball fan. That's my true love of sport.
Oh, I know you.
And I mean, we don't have a camera, but I'm wearing my Carlos Zambrano Cubs home jersey because I love baseball that much. And I had a game on earlier today, but baseball's different. Like, baseball has always been. There's no clock involved. Like, there's more to the game. Though. There's more strategy. Like, they're coming up with ways to limit how long a game goes. Because even I can admit how many times they would change a fucking bullpen pitcher to face, like, they'll bring in a lefty specialist to face a left-handed bat, and when that left-handed bat goes out of the game, they'll change it to bring back a righty to face a right-handed guy, and it's insane. Like, on that point, I can agree that the game was too slow, but baseball's in its own category. It's not broke, don't fix it. Like, it's not MLB's fault that people have the attention span of a fruit fly because they're glued to their phone even at a friggin' baseball game.
That's where I disagree with you, because the MLB should make their game fit into people's lives. They want it the other way around. They want people to fit into their product.
The Yankees are making baseball fit into their lives. They're doing regular week games up until the end of the kids' school season start at 4:05 or 4:30. So that way, Yankee home games will end by like 7 or 8 o'clock. The kids say they have to ride the subway home. They're home by 9 p.m. Either they can get their homework done, they could go straight to bed. The Yankees are fitting their schedule around what people's lives are.
The MLB should do that in general. The whole league. The one thing I did like, I saw a story a few weeks ago. I saw something where I guess pitchers and catchers can use smartwatches to relay messages. Is that accurate?
I don't know if that's true. I know the Red Sox got popped for, I guess you could say, the NFL equivalent of Spygate with, tipping pitches. Yeah. There was allegations that someone
Did they get vilified like the Patriots did? Of course not.
What?
Did they get vilified like the Patriots did? Of course
they got raked through the coals.
Never heard of it.
Well, you don't follow baseball. It's not my fault that you don't follow other sports, Jay. Maybe you should follow other sports before you start talking about baseball. But the part with the Red Sox was there was a Red Sox staffer that was found to be in the center field where the camera hole was, and they would be spying in on pitches, and they would text message someone in the dugout that had an Apple iWatch that would read the text message, and somehow they would relay to the hitter, be like, if he's tipping this way, that means it's like a fastball on the inside, and you can totally go to town with that. So that's what baseball was doing.
I swear, I thought maybe I'm misremembering here. I thought I saw somewhere where baseball was trying to implement a secure way of getting communication between the catcher and the pitcher. Obviously, you would know more than I would, but I think one of the ideas was to relay the information via Apple Watch.
Maybe I'd have to look into that, but right now, as of what time are we recording on Saturday? 5:30. I've been watching a couple of baseball games today.
17:30.
Whatever, 17:30, 5:30 for those of you guys that aren't in the aviation business. I've been watching a few games today, and everyone's still throwing signs down from the catcher to the pitcher. So
yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. What else we got on tap this week?
I mean, we definitely have to plug the Owl Shop.
Oh yeah. Let's do that. Yeah. I totally forgot about it. We should have done this earlier in the show.
Well, it's like a halfway point. So you plug away, and I'm gonna re-up on some fluids real quick.
Are you leaving me? Can you re-up me on fluids?
I'll be right back. I'll bring it over. Plug the owl shop.
All right, man. So last week, me and Da Puma were down in New Haven at a amazing cigar bar called the Owl Shop. The general manager was so gracious, man. He actually followed us on Instagram. The guy was absolutely amazing. But I think we are gonna go ahead and just let you guys know it is the best cigar shop on the planet.
Where can you find the Owl Shop?
The Owl Shop is in New Haven, Connecticut, right in the Yale district, I assume.
Yep, it's right off of Elm Street.
See, I don't even know where it's at down there.
Right next to Elm City Social.
I did like that it was right by that cookie place. What's that cookie place?
Oh, Insomnia Cookies.
Insomnia Cookie, bro.
Yeah.
That was we had a good night last Saturday night. We went to the Owl Shop, got some cigars, went to the Elm City Social where you were so angry. You remember that?
I was angry just because, like, I was starving.
Yeah.
And, like, that burger I got with, like, the
Not
fries.
good, yeah.
Like, it wasn't good. And, like, at that point, we just recorded an episode. We went to the Owl Shop, had some dope cigars, and like the energy level was high. And I just felt like when we went to the Elm City Social to get food, like I was just on the downward part. Like I just wanted to like relax. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't really want to do a whole lot.
We should have done it. We should have done the opposite. We should have started out at a high energy place, and then go to the Owl Shop just to kind of relax. Because the Owl Shop is a very chill. It's a very
chill place.
That's the kind of spot where I believe like Ron Burgundy would hang out, right? Like I feel like it has a lot of like maroon colored chairs. It's dark. It's It's just a man's lounge. So yeah, man, check it out. If you're in New Haven, go down to the Owl Shop, get a fat stogie, just chill out. It's a great environment.
It's a good time.
That's a great time.
They have so many cigar selections as well too. Like they have a humidor in the back, and everyone there is super super accommodating. And if you're on the fence about what kind of cigar you want, they'll definitely help you out. They'll do you a solid.
Yeah.
So
I tried the Acid
Shop.
Blondie. That's where it's at for me, man.
Yep, that was great. That was a great cigar.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of inhaling on one puff, and I mean, I normally I would die, but that Acid Blondie was.
The worst thing was I woke up the next day and I had like this massive just like lump in my throat.
Right.
It was all scratchy and itchy, and I was like, oh.
Not to mention the fact that you smell like a cigar bar at that point.
Yeah. Which I don't mind that smell. I really don't mind that smell, truthfully. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't like it. Maybe because I grew up in a household where like my uncle smoked and my aunt smoked, so like we all just like sat in a room and just secondhand smoked and inhaled all the time.
I mean, at that point,
yeah, you might as well. But like, I kind of grew up accustomed like being around my uncles that smelled like cigars. Now my parents didn't smoke, but you know, it was in my family, so I didn't mind it.
Right.
You know, it kind of reminds me of home.
There you go. All
you know, a certain smell, a certain like music take you back to a different time. That's what it was for me.
That's a damn truth.
Yeah.
But to get this back on the rails about football, we actually have two more stories. One of them is an interesting one about Cam Newton, Jay.
Yeah, I saw that, dude.
You got the floor on this one. Tell the people about Cam.
Cam Newton goes on a late night show. I believe it was James Corden. And he says something along the lines of, I have decided not to have sex for this whole month because it makes me mentally tougher. And I guess the host asked him, like, well, how does that correlate to what you're trying to do? And he was like, well, I guess if I'm mentally tougher now, I'll be mentally tougher during the season, which makes no sense to me. But I don't think I would be able to do that if I was him, right? Like, at the end of the day, you know, like, it's just one of those things where I don't put the correlation between not having sex for a month and being mentally stronger in the season. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Right. I mean, I've heard it in, like, the fight game before, that, like, right before a fight, like, especially in fight camp, you know, fighters won't do the deed to keep them more
like right around
focused.
The event that they're gonna participate in. This is 8 months before the season even starts,
right?
Which tells me he probably hates his significant other. He doesn't want to have sex with that.
You know
person.
what? Like, I was thinking about that in the car ride in. I was like, does he hate the wife or the girlfriend that he doesn't want to have like sex with her anymore? But then I was thinking, he's just having surgery. I'm just going to come out there and say maybe Cam Newton is a little bit of a media egomaniac. Like, if his name's not in the news, it's probably a bad day. The last time I heard anything about Cam Newton was he was kind of taking shots at the media for criticizing him and criticizing Coach Rivera about, like, the injury prognosis and what's the game plan. I mean, our friend Jay Boots could speak to that a little bit more because he's pretty much our Carolina Panther insider, for Christ's sake.
We're going to have him on soon.
But then you didn't really hear a whole lot up until this. So I don't see the logic in trying to be celibate while on a vegan diet right before the season starts when you're not even going to possibly play at least half the year because you had shoulder surgery. So, like, what's the point of being mentally tougher now when you're not going to play by week 6 or 7?
So I get the vegan part of it because obviously you put something into your body to perform at a higher level. I get that. I totally get that. It's not my thing. I love my bacon as much as possible, but I don't understand the no sex part thing. I don't understand how that makes you mentally tougher. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've had that pact with every single woman in America for the last year or so, and I'm not mentally stronger. You know, like I don't understand what he's trying to get at from experience. Cam, trust me, it doesn't work.
I mean. I can see it if it was in training camp. If it was in training camp and for some reason you're like, all right, for 16, 17, 18 weeks, babe, I'm not having sex with you. I got to be mentally tough. I can buy that. But in the middle of what is this? March 30th, we're about to go in April, and you're saying that you're not going to have sex because you're trying to be mentally tougher? I'm just going to say, Phillip Rivers just had his 9th kid, dude, and he's doing all right.
Oh, my God. 9 kids, huh?
9 kids. So... do you think he's going to go for 11?
Of course he is. He wants his own team.
11 kids?
He wants his own offense or his own defense.
Why not? Dude, Phillip Rivers, I'm going to come out and say it again. Like, I'm a huge Phillip Rivers mark. And just the fact that, like, he's got 9 kids and he's doing all right with his air quote mental toughness. Like, Cam Newton, take a few notes from this kid from North Carolina State. That's all I'm saying, dude. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
I used to hate Phillip Rivers because he was so cocky. He would talk so much trash. But I absolutely love the guy.
Dude, I love Phillip Rivers,
man. He's awesome. I like his fight competitive nature.
Yep.
I like the no shit taken from anybody kind of thing.
That's why I liked him. Like, I loved him coming out of that draft and when he started after Drew Brees left. I liked his cockiness. I liked his shit. I mean, dude, he was the biggest shit talker out of all those shit talkers. I think he would make Richard Sherman look Amish in his heyday. And he has the tools to back it up. Yeah. He will get a touchdown and talk shit to your face and to your mother.
You know what's funny? I used to hate him, but now I want him to win a Super Bowl before he departs.
He's definitely one of those guys that, like, I want to win a Super Bowl out of that draft class.
Speaking of Phillip Rivers, this is a good topic we should segue into. It looks like Josh Rosen is being courted by the Chargers. The reports came out this week that 3 teams put in offers for Josh Rosen, one being the Giants, one being the Patriots, and one being the Chargers. From what I understand, the Giants, rumors are the Giants have put a 2nd-round pick in for Josh Rosen. Now, I think, obviously I don't think Josh Rosen is the answer, but I do see the Chargers train of thought here, right? Getting Josh Rosen in behind Phillip Rivers and having him learn from him for maybe a year and then kind of starting.
Right.
Did you hear that thoughts? And what were your thoughts on
my thoughts are, I saw that report too, and my thoughts are, I don't buy the Charger bit only because they signed Tyrod Taylor to a 2-year contract, which, I mean, at the end of the day, we all know 2-year contracts might as well be just 1 year. If you make it out of camp, okay, you're on the roster for the season.
Plus, Tyrod Taylor is not your long-term answer.
Absolutely not.
Josh Rosen apparently is.
Absolutely not. But I wouldn't mind that at all. I mean, if you put Josh Rosen over there with, you know, a Melvin Gordon, and then you have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams over there, and they have a decent offensive line anchored by one of the Pouncey brothers, I could totally buy that. And especially like a 2nd-round pick, that's probably all Arizona's going to get. I mean, anyone that pays a 1st-round pick for him, you're overpaying at that point.
Anybody that pays the 1st round for Josh Rosen is stupid.
I mean, I went on the record saying the Dolphins should buy low on him after they traded Tannehill.
But you guys got Fitzmagic now.
They did not. I have to fucking stomach down a crap ton of Tums and Pepto-Bismol and Zantac to get through a 16-game season with my guys in South Beach. But I would love Josh Rosen on my team.
Yeah. And what's the plan for the Dolphins? Are they going to go ahead and tank for Tua? Is that what's happening here?
Well, a lot of mock drafts are having Dwayne Haskins falling to them at 13.
Dude, if that happens, trust me, you'll love it.
I wouldn't mind it. I've seen the Haskins tape. I like what I see out of him. I wouldn't mind him going down to 13 and going to South Beach.
You know where Haskins went to?
Yeah, I know what college you went to, Jay.
Say it.
Ohio State University.
Go Buckeyes!
I'm not saying that bit, but I wouldn't mind him going down to 13.
Go Buckeyes!
Yeah, here we go. But yeah, no, I could buy that at 13. I could definitely see the Giants trading the 2nd-round pick, or package the 2nd and the 3rd-round pick they got from Cleveland for Josh Rosen. I wouldn't mind that move at all.
Yeah. Cool, man. Cool. What else we get into this
I
one?
mean, the other news headline, we're going to go to a different league. We're going to end the episode with a different league.
I'm so sick and tired of talking about the AAF.
So, about Tuesday or Wednesday,
Part of me wants it to fall.
There was a report from the USA Today that Tom Dundon, the chairman of the AAF, went on the record saying, and I quote, if the NFLPA...
Before you finish that thought, I have something important to say. Why, as a business, are you letting Tom Dundon dictate these moves? Why is he saying this stuff? Why, even when you get to your story, why is he involved in such a big decision-making process?
He put $270 million into the league.
I looked into it, and that is not accurate. He has put in like a few million
Well,
here.
at this point, he put up 70, but the part of the deal was he could put 270 into it.
But he didn't yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, at the end of the day, he's a businessman. He has to cover his ass. But right now, he's got $70 million in a league that has a lot of ratings. But he went on the record with USA Today, and like I was saying, as I quote, if the NFLPA is not going to give us, the AAF, younger players, we can't be a development league. We are looking at our options, one of which is discontinuing the league. So by younger players that they're looking for third-string quarterbacks / young offensive linemen to be part of this league to serve as a true minor league feeder system.
My question is, this whole business model they have going on, listen, they should know the NFL is not going to try to help them. They should have some sort of contingency plan there to try to succeed without the NFL, right? I don't understand why even say these comments? Like, why throw that out there? Like, I get it. It's part of a negotiating tool with the NFLPA to try to get them to
right, because it's not the league he's having a problem with. It's the Players Association. And at the end of the day, NFL insider Benjamin Albright, he covers both the NFL and the AAF. He's done a lot of reporting for the AAF. He tweeted out from his source, the AAF is not in any danger of folding. They're just trying to leverage for NFLPA cooperation in securing players. Hyperbole for the win, though. And then he also had another source saying that the sticking point with the players' union is insurance premium coverage. If the AAF is willing to cover these costs, the common thought is that these players will become available. Air quote, it's not about money going back to the NFL as in kickbacks for letting these guys play.
But that's my problem. If this is a ploy to try to leverage the NFLPA, then how weak is your business model, AAF? Like, what are you doing that you have to rely on the NFL's players to succeed? Why wasn't there a...
Now, you're saying NFL players like it's Carson Wentz going down to play for the Birmingham Iron. We're talking about third-string quarterbacks that nobody gives a shit about.
I get it. But still, it's part they're part of NFL property at that point.
But
right?
if the insurance premiums are the thing, like, why not? If you're on the practice squad, the most action you're going to get is as a scout team up to football Sunday for the big league. Why not get actual live in-game reps for a team?
Because it puts wear and tear on your body. That's why. The NFLPA fought tooth and nail to take practice time down and make it safer this way and put this precaution to make it safer. Then why would you put more reps, more hits on those players?
The players' union doesn't care if their biggest sticking point is insurance premiums.
Maybe that's the cover-up. We don't know what so they say it is, but obviously... Every time somebody says something, we can't take it at face value. The reason, listen, this is the way I see it. This is from
a source in regards to negotiation between the two.
This is the way of NFL saying, we're not going to help you. Why would we help you?
Why not? I mean, if
you're
you look
part of
at
our competition. I know. Your first thing you're going to say right now is they are not the competition. They are supplemental to the NFL. But eventually, the AF will get big enough where they will vie for some of the NFL's.
Well, minor league baseball is big enough, but they're not supplanting MLB. But I mean, if you look at this, why not have these teams? Right now, there's only 8 teams associated with the NFL. Like, each team has 4 of the big league club associated with one. There's 32 teams in the league. Each AAF team has 4 teams associated with them, and it gives people the incentive to follow these people. And I'll give a case in point of Riley Bulla with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only reason why I know that guy's name is because of Hard Knocks. Yep. Like, I followed him through Hard Knocks. I followed him on Instagram and Twitter. He got signed to the practice squad. And then earlier this year, this year being last season, he got called up to the big club. But I wouldn't have known that from Hard Knocks. Why not have these teams associated with the NFL where you get to actually have incentive and almost take pride in knowing that you saw Riley Bullough play for the Atlanta Legends and he got called up to the big club? Like, why not have, Nelson Spruce from the San Diego Fleet get called up to the Los Angeles Chargers when you saw that guy play? Case in point, Spruce is another guy that I only know of from Hard Knocks.
Because I'll go back to that original point, because either one or two things are happening here. Either the NFL truly does not want to help out the AAF, or they're going to look like they really don't care about the players because they fought tooth and nail with saying we need to reduce the amount of hits these players take. But these smaller, shittier players, you can go to the AF and get even more hits now. That's totally fine with me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, as practice squad people, the only contact they get is on the scout team. Mm-hmm. Like, and these are literally people on the bubble. And this gives the big club the opportunity of, I want to see you in-game live repetitions before I make any other roster decisions, because there's only so many spots you have on a practice squad. Why give someone this, I guess you could say coveted spot where you could work your way up to the big club, and they end up being a dud, and you're stuck with him on your books, and if you cut him, you don't have to pay him, but then you have to bring in some other guy that you haven't seen in, say, like 3 or 4 weeks since you signed this other guy. Why not have that guy go down to the AAF, have a couple of games, 3-4 games, whatever. The AAF gets their younger players, which to me doesn't make any damn sense because the NFL draft's right around the corner. You're going to have a bunch of undrafted rookies hitting the market. But these AAF teams are right in the heart of, where these NFL teams are most televised.
Yeah.
Like, why not? You could have the Orlando Apollos be the feeder team for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Miami Dolphins, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The San Antonio Commanders could be the feeder system for the Houston Texans, the Saints, the Cowboys if you wanted to, the Chiefs. Like, why not? You're going to be seeing these big clubs on television every Sunday. Why not have these minor league teams? Like, I'll keep going back to baseball. Everybody that follows baseball knows who Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is. And I had the opportunity to see him play in Double-A baseball for the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, and he's about to get called up to the league probably by mid-April. And I could say I saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. cut his teeth in the minor leagues, and he's now going to be the face of Major League Baseball in about 5 years.
Yes, that's fine and all, but baseball is not a contact sport like the NFL is. So let's take it.
But the NFL is all about storylines.
Exactly. Well, I guess you're right about that. But let's take into account that. Let's take your hypothesis that the practice squad players don't get hit that much. That's totally fine. But how would it look if the NFLPA fought tooth and nail, right, to say we're going to reduce the wear and tear on these players' bodies, but these shittier players are totally fine with going and getting more hits? Because you don't know. Let's say one practice squad player goes to the AF, has a horrific 8-game spell where he gets lit up every single game, right? And then he does get called up to the big leagues that year. That's a massive amount of football in 1 year for one body. That's 16 games of NFL and 8 games of AAF football. That's a lot of football in a body.
Well, they could work out a deal. I mean, if it's like I said, if this source that Benjamin Albright is saying, and I take stock in what Albright is saying because he's been right on a few of these takes, if insurance premiums are just one of the sticking points, they could negotiate like anyone on the practice squad. At most, it's a 10-game season right now in the AAF. At most, 3 or 4 games. And then they go back. But at least you get like that young talent circulating in. You have people with NFL, air quote, NFL experience on these younger teams with like Steve Spurrier. And show me a linebacker that wouldn't appreciate being coached by Mike Singletary.
I see this working in one way and one way only. I see this working if the AAF shares some sort of revenue stream with the NFL. And I know right now they're not sharing it as far as we know because there's this infighting going on right now, right?
But with the union, the league doesn't care about money.
I think if there was some sort of revenue stream shared between AAF and NFL, I feel like it'd be an easier bargain. It'd be an easier negotiation to get these players to go between the two leagues. I think the AAF is trying to be very tricky here, where they're trying to eat their have their cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? That they can use NFL players but not share the revenue with the NFL. I know that some games are on the NFL Network, and I'm sure they're paying for that in some degree, but it's not sharing revenue streams for using your assets. And that's my biggest thing with this is, if I was the NFL, I'd be like, fuck no, absolutely not. We're as big as we are already right now. We don't need you, AAF. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, but the ratings are going toe-to-toe with the NFL games. The ratings are almost right up there with regular season NFL games right now.
That's big time.
So at that point, if you're on Madison Avenue, you have a cash cow. Like, this shows that people want to see football. And if you have Charlie Ebersol going on the Rich Eisen show.
It's only been 8 weeks, man. Let's have 2 seasons of this. Will we hold interest for 2 years? Like I always said, we won't know in 1 year. We won't know in 8 weeks. We won't know in 10 weeks. We'll know in 2 years if consistently the ratings stay.
Yeah, but if you look, like, the XFL's coming out next year. Like, do you really want to dilute the product that much? Like, if the NFL comes out tomorrow and says, we're associated with the AAF, the XFL will never be able to touch that.
Yeah, of course.
Like, if everyone is worried about, we have to protect the shield and we have to protect the product, why not at least plant your flag with one of these leagues and show that we're associated with them? And out of those two, the AAF is more in lockstep with the NFL because their rules are pretty much the same. They're not promising a product that they're never going to deliver like the XFL did eons ago, and some of those promises, I think, are still carrying over today. If you're all about protecting the shield, why not line yourself up with one of these guys? Especially Charlie Ebersol, I would like to think knows what he's doing. I'm not just drinking my Kool-Aid, but I said on previous episodes, he had front row seats to the XFL going down in flames. Yeah. So he knows what he needs to do. And you have Bill Polian, a Hall of Fame general manager with the Colts and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, collectively, he went to 5 Super Bowls, won one of those. Those are 2 smart guys that know what they're doing. Align yourself up with the NFL. Roger Goodell would be smart to get in bed with these people. I mean, Vegas loves the AAF. I mean, we're about to go in the playoffs right now. The Birmingham Iron have a chance to close out the season right now to go to the playoffs. This is a great opportunity.
Sure. What else my train of thought was going to say here? Who's actually in the playoffs for?
So right now, there's a final push. I mean, if Birmingham takes care of business today, they punch their ticket at home in Birmingham in front of their own fans. San Antonio is home.
Take command.
Take command. I'm a huge San Antonio Commander fan. I know I told you this off camera or off the record because we don't have a camera right now. It's a work in progress.
Not right now.
But I did order some AAF merch. I got a San Antonio Commanders t-shirt, and our boy Jay Boots got a replica Commanders helmet.
Oh.
So, yeah, 2-day shipping. It was like $10. Why the hell not? Dude, like this league, like if they survive this wave, and say if Dundon pulls his money out, Charlie Ebersol seems like he's a smart enough man to have plan B and C to cover Dundon's losses. Granted, you're not going to replace, air quote, $250 million. But if you're able to pool investors to keep this league alive and you still have your TV contracts, dude, this league, there are so many possibilities for this league. Eminem was involved in trying to get a league in Detroit. He was on Twitter. Imagine the star power you have with Eminem.
I like that comment by Eminem to allow fighting in the NFL and the
right.
That'd be great. Could you imagine? I'd watch that. Right?
That'd be great. I mean, you said you'd be watching if Manziel was on there. He went out with a concussion today.
I did watch the highlights last week. He looked good.
Why not, dude? I mean, he's got NFL experience. Like, granted, I don't really want, like I said, Manziel to be rubbing off on people.
Manziel, he's going through a divorce with his Instagram model wife.
Well,
apparently he was being unfaithful, is what she put. I guess she said he didn't uphold his vows. So we can only imagine what that means.
Right. Who knows? I mean, Manziel's something else. But to put a bow on this, the NFL would be smart. You split, right now there's 8 teams. Say if there's more teams that get in the AAF league, you split the big clubs up. I mean, imagine you have the San Diego Fleet. You could have the 49ers, the Chargers, and the Rams associated with that team. You have the Raiders about to go to Vegas. They could be associated with the Salt Lake City Stallions. Like, there's so many opportunities for this league to get people in-game repetitions, and there's Hall of Famers associated with this league. It's great for the sport. It's the 100th anniversary for the NFL. Why not have these Hall of Fame people and veterans and people with NFL experience essentially pass the torch to these young guys trying to make it in the league.
Listen, I get it, man. I get your passion for the AAF. Obviously, I'm nowhere near that passion. From our talks in the last few weeks, I don't share that same passion. The reason because I just don't see it as good enough football for me. For me personally.
You love Starbucks coffee. You're all about the name brand, and that's not a slight. That's not a slight.
And they haven't. And I feel like I represent the mass population that sits down and watches Sunday Night Football, who is not sitting down and watching the AAF this week. You know what I'm saying? So they haven't captured the imagination of all of us real religious football fans, right?
Well, they've captured some because ratings have been going up every week. Sure. And granted, Arizona Hotshots fans, not saying people that watch it on TV, but people that go to the stadium, there have been people on Twitter throwing people from Arizona under the bus because there's not enough fans going out. But people that have gone to games are saying that those games are fun and entertaining and it's worth your money.
Sure.
In San Antonio, they're selling out the Alamo Dome. 32,000. They're about to set a record for fan attendance in that building this weekend.
There's a lot of smoke. If you're making money hand over fist, you don't have these stories come out. You can't make payroll. Fine, we switched the company. I get it, whatever. Now this is coming out. This is a second big story about... Go ahead.
I'll ask you this question because I know where we're going with this in regards to just smoke and you're not making payroll. You're saying there's a lot of stats that support the league's working, but clearly there's behind the scenes issues. The NFL's been around for 100 years. Mm-hmm. Do you think they had problems the first 2 years?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Trust me,
every business has growing pains.
Trust me, I do, man. But I think since they're not listen. It all comes down for me. I'm just not vested enough to sit down and watch the AAF. I love football. You and me both. We go back and forth week in and week out about the NFL. I'll watch when the Browns were shit. I'll watch the Browns versus Jaguars 4 years ago on Thursday Night Football just because it's just still amazing football. Every single shit team in the NFL is an all-star college football team, right? You get the best players from... and then you go to the NFL. Even the shittiest NFL team will still probably run roughshod over the Alabama Crimson Tide. I don't see that with the AAF talent just yet, and they haven't captured the name brand for me just yet. I did get super excited about Johnny Manziel, and I sat down and watched the highlights last week. That's a big step for me to actually watch the highlights of AAF. Maybe I was actually thinking about watching the next game where Johnny Manziel was going to be playing, but obviously he's hurt now. But they just haven't captured the storylines just yet.
Do me a solid, because we're about to go into the playoff push. Watch the next 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. You get the playoff push, and then you actually have the playoffs. And by the way, the AAF championship is going to be played in essentially the Dallas Cowboys training facility because they're friends with, or they being Ebersol and Polian and Dundon, know Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones extended the offer to have them play in their building. Oh wow! So that's big. There's NFL owners that are into this league right now. So the NFL would be wise. There's good product, and I will say this: that I think there are some games that have been played this season that have been better over the past 2 years of Thursday Night Football, because there's been a long time of trash-ass football on Thursday night.
2 years ago, the Thursday Night Football games were absolute trashed. But this recent run of Thursday Night Football games was absolutely amazing. This last year of Thursday Night Football was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And that's my biggest thing, man, is we love football so much. All of us love football, love the storylines. But for some reason, I'm not into it. I don't know why. I just don't know why. I can't give you a real reason why. I'm doing absolutely nothing sitting at home on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm not going to be watching this. But for some reason, I am
because you're missing out. You seriously are. I'm not just saying this drinking the Kool-Aid and being a minor league baseball fan, but as a fan of sport, you are missing out on a lot right now.
Well, we'll see if they capture my imagination. As of right now, there's a lot of smoke there. So I'm going to go with the theory that since there's a lot of smoke there, there's got to be some sort of fire, right?
Yeah, well, I'm in the belief that any startup business is going to have problems. But, I mean, the fan question of the week kind of goes hand in hand with the AAF. From J _Boots. Hang on, let me pull this up real quick on the IG, because he hit us up on that. So let's see.
While
here.
you do that, did you hear about the story about Nicolas Cage?
No, what's the story?
So Nicolas Cage got married on Saturday, and he put in for annulment yesterday. That is a very...
Who is he marrying?
I don't know, some nail salon artist, I guess what they call him, like a nail...
Oh, like a nail, I guess you could say like a nail specialist, right?
I guess, yeah, like some sort of nail specialist. And apparently they got super drunk and they got married on Saturday. And he comes to his senses, apparently...
They went to Vegas, right?
I have no idea, on Wednesday. And he's like, you know what? Maybe I made a mistake here. Good old Nicolas Cage.
I mean, I think that beats Carmen Electra and Dave Navarro. I think they were only married for about a month. I think Dennis Rodman and Carmen Electra too. Jesus, she got like passed around like a joint. They were only arrested. Like, listen, you can at me in the comments, but am I wrong if she got married to Dennis Rodman for like a month and then called it off, and then like a couple of years later got married to Dave Navarro and then they called it off? Like, I'm sorry, if the shoe fits, wear it. And I'm just saying.
Okay, all right. Well.
Plus, like the fucking Kardashians, for Christ's sake, they're the monuments of
even. So listen, I didn't bring up the Kardashians this week. You did.
I'm just saying, because it goes lockstep.
You have some sort of affinity with the Kardashians.
I'm just saying, like all of society. Like, oh my God.
I didn't bring them up.
Let me fucking get the cake. What's her name?
Kim?
Not Kim. The Jenner girl. The one that's like a Victoria's Secret model. Kylie
Jenner?
With like the Kylie lips, and I'll suck on glass and then wonder why like my lips are about to explode.
Yeah. I wonder what happened with Kendall Jenner. We don't see
Was
her.
it Kendall or Kylie?
I don't know.
I don't know. Whichever one's a Victoria's Secret
One's
model.
very popular. One lives her own life and doesn't care. You know what I'm saying?
The one that lives her life and doesn't care is smart.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Or the other one is a billionaire now.
I mean, air quote, self-proclaimed billionaire.
Yeah, okay.
And here we are doing a podcast, and I'm throwing her head first under the bus. But anywho...
Let's get out there on Instagram.
The question from J_Boots on the IG was, will Manziel make it through the AAF season without getting suspended for personal conduct?
Absolutely not. That dude was doing lines of cocaine off the bench the second he had that big run last week. All right, I watched the highlight. He had one big touchdown throw. He had a couple of good runs here and there, a couple of decent throws. But I bet you what, I will guarantee he was doing lines of coke off the bench.
No doubt.
In the locker room afterwards.
Now, that question was asked on Wednesday. But right now it's Saturday. They already played, and Manziel got knocked out with a concussion. But without the concussion bit, I'm kind of with you. Like, you got kicked out of the entire Canadian Football League for whatever reasons, and you played in Montreal, and they have a red light district, so you really have to try to get kicked out of the entire league. So, no. If he's able to come back for maybe like the next week, finish off the season... I mean, I guess they'll be wearing egg on my face, but I just don't see him finishing up the year.
I don't either, man.
Maybe if this question was asked like next season, like, will Manziel make it to week 4?
Well, now that he's going through a divorce, and obviously his wife is not going to be there anymore, he's going to be in my personal opinion, a complete party animal now, right?
Maybe. I mean, what money does he have left? He had like $70,000 of like an unguaranteed contract with the Memphis Express.
Yeah.
So
how quickly perception changes where you drafted Manziel, he was a complete bust. And the Browns
I'm going to wreck the league.
Yeah, and the Browns were like, you know what, we'll draft Manziel part 2. Baker Mayfield kind of looks like Manziel's short.
More talent.
More talent, obviously. But now, just because Baker Mayfield's questioned it, now it's paving the way for Kyler Murray. You know what I'm saying? All 3 quarterbacks are short. Came out of Oklahoma, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Texas Tech and Oklahoma.
Yeah, but Bake is taller than Kyler, though, right?
At the end of the day, but like an inch, though. It's not a lot.
They're
all under 6 foot, right? Or 6 foot at the max.
I mean, I've made my bones about Kyler.
He's a bum.
You know what? There was a report. I mean, I know we're running long on the podcast.
Okay,
I guess we could end it on this thought, or if you have any other topics, we could definitely get into it. But I saw a tweet yesterday that Adam Schefter, and you sent this to me as well on Instagram from his page, that the Cardinals brass, rather, was having dinner with Nick Bosa.
Boy, Nick Bosa.
Down in Florida. Mm-hmm. And this just solidifies my theory a little bit that I'm not really convinced that the Cardinals are taking Kyler first.
Well, it could be smokescreen. It could be throwing people off the scent.
Right.
Hey, we're going out to dinner with Nick Bosa. We're not fully invested in Kyler Murray, right?
Right.
A couple of things are happening if you want to take that line of thought that the Cardinals are going to try to I guess throw people off the scent. I really don't know what the Cardinals are gonna do, man. They could possibly trade the first round pick, but at that point, you're doing so much harm to Josh Rosen's confidence. You can't really go on with him. At this point,
Well, if you trade it away, then Rosen's your guy.
Of course, yeah. If you trade the first pick away, then Rosen's your guy. But if you do that, you got to look at just how much harm you've done to his confidence all the last few months, right? There was no definitive coming out and saying Josh Rosen's our guy. You know, they did say, but then they also said he's our guy today, right? What was some?
Well, the GM
like
said that.
Yeah.
Well, Steve Keim's kind of special, but. Do you? I just had like a train of thought and I just completely lost it. But like, do you think that this is just like have the Cardinals come out on the record saying that they are openly shopping Rosen? Like, has that
they
report?
Have not.
Okay,
no.
so
they have not. They've said things along the lines of, he's here.
He's our guy.
He's our guy. And then Keim said,
he's our guy for right now.
But they've never openly said that he's on the market.
Right.
You can send your
So at this point, it's just overtures from other teams, but they haven't. Okay, so they haven't come out and said. I'm just saying, like, you have to be special to pass up on Nick Bosa when you have Chandler. Like you said it yourself.
Chandler
like
Jones,
you have Chandler
Terrell
Jones.
Suggs,
You got Terrell Suggs that could
Nick
mentor
Bosa.
this
Oh
young
my God,
guy.
that's probably
And
one of
then
the best
Patrick
defensive
Peterson,
lines.
like that defense was decent, like middle of the road last year.
But the fact that they took Terrell Suggs and they gave him a contract means they're not looking for a third pass rusher. At that point, it's overkill. You have three people playing the same position.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Rams had Sue Donald and a couple of linebackers that were pass rushers too. Like Dante Fowler Jr. They traded for. Why not? That's a competitive division in the NFC West.
Yeah.
Why not beef up on defense?
I think that's probably the second best division in football after the NFC South, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Hands down. That's why I'm not completely sold. I mean, I'll buy it on draft day. I expect you to be here for the first round of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna before the actual draft happens, we're gonna do a podcast where we do our mock draft for the first round.
Yeah.
We'll flip a coin. Whoever gets the first pick, and we'll go from there.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Be great.
How far away is that? That's a month away, right?
Something like that, yeah. It's going to be great. Yeah. Gotta brush up on my notes.
And then I can't wait for a fantasy football draft.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to take us two and 8 friends of the podcast and start the Pro Football Radio Podcast League. That should be a fun league.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm just going to throw some shout outs already. Sarah, S_Marie.
Oh yeah, Sarah Marie, she's definitely in.
And then my boy Hercules 2424.
Yeah.
And then a little Jay Boots action maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see what's up. There's a lot of slots open, but you guys seem a little bit ahead on the curve.
The guys are from the 603.
Oh, the Bollier brothers, all three of them.
I like those guys. They're big Patriot fans.
They're big Patriot fans. But Dan Bollier, his ass is a little chapped about the Forrest Gump. I mean, not only did you kind of put him over the edge with the Who's Manny Machado bit, but the Forrest Gump bit. Like, he texted me at work saying that.
Why didn't he just text me straight up and be like, yo, listen, bro?
He texted me saying, pretty much, you need to talk to your boy to watch some movies.
It's like a stupid movie, bro.
It's not stupid. Watch the whole movie, Jay. There is more to it than like this 12-year-old kid with a crooked back that's wearing braces that runs away from people.
Like, how can you go from being handicapped to being the Flash? I just don't understand that. I can't compute that.
Jay, there is more. You literally have to watch the entire movie.
If you have some sushi tonight, I will.
Fine, I'll have some friggin' sushi if you watch the goddamn movie.
Let's watch the movie right now.
Fine, I'll find it right now.
Let's do it.
Okay, then. Are you doing the plugs or am I doing the plugs? Because you didn't do the promo because your hair wasn't on point.
Dude, listen, I was having a rough week, all right?
How can you have a rough week? You were fine Thursday.
It was a long week.
Here we go. He didn't have enough Starbucks. S_Marie. He didn't have enough Starbucks, and that's why he didn't do the promo.
Listen, I'm not sick and tired of you ganging it with my friends from Ohio.
Because
taking me down. Sarah Marie,
let me just say something.
Sarah Marie, I thought you were on my side.
Let me just say something. It is saying something that this podcast is making me tag team with someone that you know from your hometown and your home state to say that you need to tone it down with the Starbucks pretty much.
Yeah,
it is saying something. S_Marie, the Reds fan.
Yeah,
I am.
That's why you like her, because she's a Reds fan, right?
No, she had me at Starbucks. Yeah. So now, like, baseball's a bonus.
Sarah's awesome because I dragged her to a Lakers game we skipped school. We skipped classes one day at Ohio State, and we drove from Columbus, Ohio to Indiana to watch Kobe take on the Pacers. It was an absolute, because growing up, I was a massive Kobe Bryant fan. I'm not the basketball fan that I am now, but growing up, I was a massive Kobe fan. I watched every single game. And I remember I was like, I gotta go watch Kobe. He's in Indiana. And luckily she was there and we drove out.
Oh yeah, you have to see the Mamba. And this was the Mamba in his prime.
Yeah, the funny thing about Sarah though is, man, she's like, I don't wanna like pass off any sort of aspersions here, but she's like a short white girl from Ohio, very non-threatening, right? But she has an affinity for Tupac for some reason. Like, she would come to class with a massive purple Tupac hoodie. We had this class, and I would wear my purple Kobe jersey, and she would wear the purple Tupac sweatshirt. And it's just funny, just because you can't compete. She's just a normal country girl from Ohio. She's wearing.
Hey, I mean, I'm an NWA fan. I love me some MC Ren. He's the most underappreciated man of that group, in my opinion.
No, but she's one of our best listeners. And then obviously there's J_Boots. He's always there for us as well. And then your boys from the 603, they're out there as well. So we appreciate all you guys, man. We had 702 listens this week, which is a massive number. I don't know how much of it is real listens, but hey, somehow we got out there. Some people listen to us.
Hey, listens are listens, man, and you know what? It's great to have the fan support and like Twitter. I mean, we have Pickswise NFL. They were blowing up our Twitter page yesterday with the promo that I cut, and they're great. If you want to get like sports betting tips, if you're new to the game in regards to sports betting, definitely check those guys out. I looked at their website yesterday and this morning as well too, and they have a lot of deep insights in regards to what the lingo is and what this term means and what the spread is for upcoming games. They had a whole thing on the AAF this weekend, and they're covering baseball. They cover it all. So definitely Pickswise NFL, definitely a good spot to go. We're getting a lot of love on Twitter by people, and definitely appreciate that. And
dude, we're on the way, man.
Yep, we're going there. So
pretty soon we'll have the Pro Football Radio Network.
That's definitely gonna happen.
That's
so I don't know, Jay. Is it time for the plugs?
Let's plug it up, man.
So you can follow us on the Twitter at PFR Podcast, Facebook and Instagram at Pro Football Radio Podcast. You can follow content-wise on YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and Spotify under Pro Football Radio. I think Google Play right now is still being updated, so it's all one word, Pro Football Radio, and then podcast on Google Play. But you can find us all on there. You can follow myself, Brando_Puma on Twitter, and my co-host here, Jay Cheema on Twitter at Jay Cheema, also known as Jay Poncho Cheema.
Pretty soon, yeah.
That's
a good name, though, right?
I mean, if you were my team, but yeah, you can find us on those plugs, and that's all I got. But hang on, I gotta do with the echo now. Poncho and
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Definitely gonna look at this movie, doing updates. Otherwise, via con Dios.